Okay, hopefully it's recording. I'll start admitting people. Hello, everyone. Welcome. Welcome to our panel. This panel is If UCDC is Right for You, and we're here joined by Allison Vu and Jocelyn Torres, and myself, who have participated in the UCDC program in past quarters. Jocelyn, I believe yours was more recent. So we're here to answer any questions that you guys might have about the program. So what is UCDC? Briefly to mention it, UCDC is a capital internships program that sends students from all the UCs over to Washington, D.C. to gain real life and professional experience through internships over there, all while living at the Capitol, being a full-time student, taking your classes there. And all three of us have experienced the program, and we're here to answer any questions you guys have. I'm Itzel Marr. I'm a fourth-year history major, and my internship was ZETA, which is Gen Z Emerging Technology. My internship called for, to briefly explain it, was to do research on tech policy or tech bills and go to and go and request meetings with representatives or senators to ask them what they are doing on said bills.
Hi guys, my name is Allison. I'm a fourth year English major. I worked at Advocates for Justice and Education. It was a nonprofit education law firm. The unique thing about working as a pre-law student at a nonprofit law firm is the team is so small, so they give you a lot of responsibilities, which means you get a lot of hands-on experience. So I think that when you're looking for internships, whether it's through UCDC or not, don't turn down nonprofits because you could get a really valuable experience from them.
Hi, I'm Jocelyn. I'm a fourth year sociology major and I interned winter 2026, so it's just my quarterback finally. And I interned with the nonprofit group Alternatives to Violence Project. The DC group, we focused mainly on hosting workshops, information. We focused a lot on ranked choice voting, which is their newly implemented uh voting voting system in DC. But yeah.
Okay, so I think I'll start with the first question, which is what was something impactful from the learning experience, academic or professional, that I learned while back in DC? I think it was really learning to apply myself professionally, to really step out of the my comfort zone when it comes to talking politics or talking internship wise, to know what to ask for and when I need it. My internship was within tech and I am a history major. So immediately you think about what is the correlation? Well, in my major, I do a lot of research. I use a lot of analysis in order to apply different subjects to different items. And that's exactly what I did with technology. I had to relearn everything. I had to ask for help majority of the time. And to step out professionally, I had to ask if DC is all about everyone knows someone. So I just asked like, hey, would you happen to know someone who does things in my major or what I'm interested in? And from there, I was able to meet with someone with who worked in the American Smithsonian and get a personal tour of the Latino exhibit that was shown there at the time, which was spring 2025. And thinking one question, I'm gonna take this for you, Jocelyn, is thinking back, what's one thing that you learned about yourself during the program that you may have not learned while staying at the UCR campus?
I think especially with UCDC, the program really does shine with letting you learn how adaptable you are, especially since the fact that it's such like a transitory like space. Everyone's here like either for like 6 months, 3 months, and there's opportunities around you. And I think this program really does shine in letting you learn to say yes, to trust yourself, to say, okay, I don't know completely, but I'm willing to learn. And I think that that's something that I really learned and honed while being there.
I think that's I think that's something that I also feel like that DC really helps extend opportunities to UCR students that you wouldn't really get on the campus. I'm thinking that Allison, like given time to reflect since both of us went last year. How do you feel that UCDC and the experience of UCDC has influenced in your career path or in your current field?
Yeah, that's a good question. Also, since it's a smaller group, I kind of want it to be more collaborative. So in the chat, if you guys could share your major and maybe what career you guys want to go into so we can like personalize these answers a little more, that would be really helpful. But I am a pre-law student, so despite being an English major, I did want to apply to law school, and since UCDC, it really helped me do those applications in fall, and now I'm going this next fall to Santa Clara Law School. So practically it's a very opportunistic opportunity because I know a lot of people who either take an internship there for 3 months, build upon it, and then stay for summer or go back after they graduate, go back to DC. People take those connections that Itzel talked about and build businesses in Riverside. We have an alumni who is really great who talks about how he uses opportunity, built a bunch of connections, and then built a policy lobbying firm and is working hybrid from Riverside and DC. So that kind of experience is really amazing, like just physically, I guess, because from my internship, I got a letter of rec from my mentor and a lot of advice regarding the LSAT and the application and the personal statements. And that practical advice and aid really helped me when I was trying to apply to law school, and it really paid off.
I think that's also really good. Definitely, DC is a lot of networking, a lot of learning from professionals. Um, I think aside from direct like jobs and there's a lot of professional skills that you gain. Um, the question would be that what would be some skills that we gained from our internships? I think that it's definitely it influenced me to connect more with different networks. DC gave me a chance to really hone in and practice on my conversational skills professionally. And coming back to Riverside, I was able to search out different opportunities and connect with different people in my field and my major. I've worked in three different museums briefly in Riverside. I've also have had a couple of history projects on campus because of being able to connect with others. And I think that's definitely a skill that I was able to learn from my internship. So to you guys, what do you think were some valuable skills that you learned, or maybe something that you really enjoyed from your internships, or even something that you learned about yourself in Washington, D.C. from your classes or outside your classes? This one for, I would say, Jocelyn, you first.
Um, One skill that I really honed while I was there was emails. Every day I was sending out an email for my group, for my nonprofit group, but it truly was amazing. There is like a very well-known like nonprofit web there. Every nonprofit works with a little bit of something. I know I went to meetings in the festival center, or I worked with the League of Women Voters with some of their material, but generally it is just about being able to communicate, which you went on to, and like not being afraid to send out an email, not being afraid to send out like a coffee text chat, and being like, hey, like this is something that I really want to talk to you with, or this is something that you really were interested in, to reach out. I think it was a beautiful place to get to know people, and generally the people there want to tell you about the work they're doing. They're interested in it. So, yeah.
And to you, Allison, what do you think was something that you really enjoyed from like outside of the internship or outside doing classes?
Similarly to Jocelyn, something that I learned was phone calls. I was not very good at cold phone calling people, but I kind of learned how to do it on the job. Uh, but then like broader than that, outside of internships, outside of academics, if you go during fall through spring, they give you a free Metro card, which is like access to all the buses and all the trains. I loved it. It was very like East Coast core for me. So I think that like it really highlights the kind of independence you have while you're doing this because for most people, so I live on campus. I'm originally from the Bay. So going from the Bay to Riverside was already like a leap of independence or like individuality for me. But then going from here all the way to the East Coast is like a whole other thing. And then it's like it's very exciting. It's very fun. I think that a lot of people who especially are commuters, like they have this opportunity and it's like kind of daunting, but it's definitely like a great opportunity just to see like how much you can do on your own in like this 3 months. And people don't just stick to DC, they also go to like New York or Philadelphia or Florida. So like you have to plan trips and stuff like that with your friends and coordinate. So I think it's just a really great opportunity to explore yourself as an individual and then kind of have fun.
I also agree with Allison. I am a commuter and I'm also a transfer student. As a transfer student, I kind of took advantage of the opportunity so that I can do as much as I can in the 2 years that I had at UCR. And also as a commuter student, I did manage to do things kind of on my own, but to an extent. When living in DC, it was very much like planning for different trips, what I wanted to do outside of my internship, and how can I really um put myself in a position independently and how I learned from it. What I did learn from it was learning really, because you will be living in an apartment essentially, which was also your classes. In the apartment building, you are living on your own. You are taking care of yourself. You are cooking for yourself, cleaning for yourself, obviously, all of those things. And for me, it's very much planning how to do groceries, planning living with different people, maybe sometimes altercations and learning how to solve those altercations, but also learning how to explore the city, even if it's on your own or with other people. It's a walkable city and it's a lot of walking. So definitely walking shoes and always planning for the weather, always planning for different situations, and also knowing what there is in the city that you can look at there. I feel that there's something for everybody. Um, Me personally, I love enjoying, I love eating different foods. I love comic books. So before my trip, I was definitely looking at those things. Like I would suggest, or even if you wanted to look at what is in DC, make a list of things that you maybe wanted to see outside of your internship or in classes, whether it's the monuments or different festivals. In the spring, they have the Kite Festival at the monuments at the National Mall. So I think that outside of internships and classes, that's definitely something that you guys can look forward to. And Jocelyn, was there anything outside of your classes or something about Washington, D.C. that you really enjoyed from your experience?
I really enjoyed it, and I wanted to kind of like put on like the fact that there's so much walking. 20 minutes walking in DC does not feel the same as walking like 20 minutes here. It might be all the buildings, it might just be like the fact that wherever you go, maybe there's like a new pop-up, there's new museums everywhere. Like you walk, especially during the dorms, you look down, you see the White House. You know, you're just in the middle of everything, and it's just a beautiful place to be. And I hope you guys all like when they see.
So, Jocelyn, I actually am curious because you went in the winter. I wanted to know what your perspective was on the weather because at least during the spring, sometimes it would be raining, sometimes sunny, but I heard that in the fall and the winter it gets pretty cold. Is there any snow when you went? Was there any?
There was inches of snow. Bring a good coat if you're going in winter. But I would say I love the fact that I went in winter. Just seeing the amount of snow there was nothing like seeing like the little dribbles of hail we get here. But bring a coat, bring a big old coat, and also never underestimate the power of a scarf. You know. But yeah.
So, I also wanted to know that um like overall, how would you describe like the environment of the UCDC Center of like the surrounding neighborhood? Do you think that it was that you think the UCDC Center was supportive or overwhelming? And what was it like engaging with other students from different UCs or like from different areas in California? And I think I would hand that over to Allison first.
Yeah, the building is like really, really helpful. You are living independently, but then you're also surrounded by like this huge community and system that's like trying to support you. So a little contradicting to myself, but the first thing you're gonna notice when you enter the building is that it's really, really close to two different metro, what's it called? trainways, and they're like five different tracks. So you have access to all of them, which is like kind of perfect if you're a commuter. It's near a lot of like it's like in the middle of kind of a intersection where you can go to like a bunch of different things. Like the monuments are right over there, the museums are in this area. If you go that way, there's a Trader Joe's. So location wise, it's very, very nice. Within the building, it's very interesting because the first thing you're gonna notice is that you have three other roommates. So every room has like two beds. It's very like dorm like. And it's not going to be a bunch of people from your school because we're a quota system, which is a system that most other UCs have. You have a chance of meeting a bunch of other people. So I actually got one Riverside student and then one UCLA and one Santa Cruz. And I hung out with them like the whole time, and it was really cool because we asked so many questions about each other's like universities. I'm not someone who has a lot of friends from other UCs, so like this was a really unique experience for me. Um, and that's kind of what the whole building is like. Everybody's kind of hanging out within their college, but then also branching out and mostly hanging out with people outside of their, designated university. Unfortunately, we did not see a lot of like UC Berkeley or UC Merced students, but like that's on them. I don't know. They're on the semester system. They're doing whatever they want. So socially, very, very fun. And then realistically, it's like super accommodating. So something that's really awesome is they have two ways to give you food. One is Avenue C, which is like their own little pop-up shop, like 7-Eleven kind of make, where you have to buy snacks. And the other is like I think it's called a food market or something, but they give you free groceries. And the groceries are not like just ramen or like things like that. It's like eggs and bread and like deli meat and like breakfast foods and all this stuff, and they give it to you for free because they know that like it's already kind of it's like somewhat expensive to do this program, even though it's like on par with a regular tuition cost of a quarter here. So they're supplying you with a bunch of like resources like that, and it doesn't just stop at food, but like I can't think of them at the moment, so I'm just gonna say that.
I think, what's it called? At least for me, it was a lot of fun learning from um different students from different UCs. I was definitely hesitant at first, and that was something that I kind of had to work on. And I wanted to know, Jocelyn, before going to UCDC, was there anything that made you hesitant about going, or anything that you felt like afraid of or had some concerns about? Like, was it traveling or maybe costs or anything like that?
Cost was definitely something that I was worried about. But the UCDC program here, the office that they have, I believe on the third floor of the Student Success Center, I was there. They were so willing to answer any questions I had. They were available to me to make Zoom meetings, to be able to talk about how I wanted to plan this, especially in costs, especially with financial aid. And then also they are, um, ah, I'm trying to think of the right word, but there's like the Beth Warren scholarships, there's the Fiat scholarships, there's things that help you. Some of them are for Chaz if you're going into humanities and internships. Some of them are for business internships. That I believe that's Fiat Lux or Fiat. I forget the name, but there's available if you want to go, they will support you. But also another thing that I was very hesitant on or just worried about just in general was the ability maybe to feel isolating. I wasn't really, I didn't really know that well who else was going. And also, you're in this new area, no one knows, you don't know the terrain. At least I didn't know the terrain before I went there. But the center really does a good job of trying to integrate everybody and like hosting events so that everyone will come to. And then from there, you kind of talk to people, you learn like who who's there and like what interests you have. So I would say that the program does a really good job of trying at least to get all the participants to know each other.
You mentioned a little bit about, I think, moving to Washington, D.C. or like traveling. How do you think that transition was easy or harder? Can you give us like your perspective on how transitioning into living in D.C. worked like, how it was working an internship and like taking your classes all in the same week? And how was it like moving away from UCR and like into the city? Like, what did that process look like for you?
Um, oh, Allison, if you want to go first. I'd say that it was a little daunting first, especially like you only have so much you can fit into a suitcase. But I will say that the center really did good job, like did a really well job of making sure everybody was situated. I know if you went down to like the front desk, they would have vacuums there. If you went down to the student service building in the fourth floor, there would you'd be able to rent out like blenders, or I use the air fryer all the time. But they really did have like stuff for you, especially in the I believe basic needs. Like you, if you didn't have like access to sheets, or pillows or blankets, like they also had availability there. But even like working there, people were very aware that you were an intern, and like the metro station I used to get to my intern. But yeah.
For Allison, did you want to say something on that?
I was gonna talk about logistics.
Hmm.
Packing for this trip is definitely kind of weird. Because suddenly you come in with like two suitcases and you have to buy like three more in order to leave because you buy so much stuff while you're in DC. There's no loop around that. I just wanted to mention that as like a very funny situation that everybody went through. Yeah, that's it.
Okay, I think I also agree. It was a lot of I definitely left with more things than what I brought. I had to send a lot of packages home. A lot of the things that I bought in New York or in different museums or like little things for my family and my friends. Um, I think definitely when you're thinking about packing is to plan ahead if you're thinking about buying things or if you can bring more than one suitcase. I got lucky because with the pricing and packaging always changes. So I got really lucky and I only had to pay like 25 for my things. But some people are not as lucky. And I think also I wanted to talk about some obstacles about transitioning to Washington, D.C., like whether it's like buying your own ticket or even when at the end or near the end of our quarter, our Metro cards stopped working. So there was definitely very much like just going out, asking for help and learning how to manage different things. Um, what do you guys think were some obstacles for you guys in the transition or just maybe in your internships or and experiences like that? And how did you guys overcome those? And I think I'm gonna start with you, Allison.
Um, the first obstacle that I kind of encountered was the time difference. It's very funny. Because was it DC is 3 hours ahead. So I remember I would either call my mom at like 4 a.m. and she would get very mad at me, or she would call me at 2 a.m. and I would get very mad at her. So there is like a little, it's like hard to find time to call your family at home or your friends at home, because the day itself is so packed. The days are very, intense the first 5 weeks, I think, because you're still acclimating to this new place. You're still trying to absorb everything. Once you're around week 5, you feel like a local, but before then, you're like trying to do everything you can. Um, I don't really have any bad obstacles. I would just say that like it feels a little bit like oh, I do have a obstacle. Well, the good obstacle is that there's so much to do in these 3 weeks, or no, 3 months, that you can't do. Realistically, I don't think anyone here has been able to do all the stuff on their bucket list, because the bucket list kept on growing. Um, the other thing that I would say is that for some reason, a lot of people who go to this program feel like a very intense imposter syndrome. And I'm not sure why after doing it. I had a very, very bad imposter syndrome leading up to this program. Um, and it feels daunting because this is like kind of an intense title in the sense that like it's a capital internship program. You're going to DC, you have this opportunity to like really take advantage of your undergrad like research experience. So I think that like the first week was really scary for a lot of people, especially people going to the Hill. I wasn't one of them, but a lot of them were freaking out. Um, so this is like an opportunity to like really break that shell and kind of show yourself that you're not an imposter, that you are able to do it. People who get selected this program, when we accept a lot of people into this program, the reason we accepted you is because we know that you're able to succeed and we know that we'll be able to help you succeed. So this is like an opportunity that I take everywhere because now whenever I have a semblance of like imposter syndrome where I'm like, I don't know if I'm able to do it. Like I'm going to law school. I'm like, I don't know if I'm gonna keep up. I kind of just remember like the feeling I had before going into DC, where it's just like, I don't know if I'm built for this. I don't know if they made a mistake in the system. And I'm like, well, I did it and I did really well. So yeah.
Jocelyn, were there any obstacles or did you feel the same way as Allison?
I definitely went through like that imposter syndrome, especially just finding people and talking about it really did kind of clear it up and being able to be everybody else's like own cheerleader where it's like we're all going through this and we're all going through this period together and it's like make sure to remember that you're together with people. That it's not something that you're on your own. Like don't isolate yourself. There are people who are going through this and you go through this going together. But yeah.
I think when it comes to DC and at least learning from us, I think that I would always recommend that is definitely pushing yourself out there, that this is an opportunity outside of almost anyone's comfort zone. I don't think I don't think I've ever met anyone who's like comfortable with just straight up moving into a new city for the first time or being sh almost like just shoved into a professional setting like that for the first time, especially in a place like Washington, D.C. I was definitely like on edge for the first couple of weeks. But then after that, as I started getting used to everything, everything started slowly falling into its place. And it's Washington, D.C. is something really memorable for me. I think to give like one like a piece of advice is to definitely yes, put yourself out there. But aside from that speaking, at least like trip wise is to definitely know what you're packing for. And I think something that I wish that I like kind of knew, this is packing wise still, to know what they already had in DC before I left. I asked and nobody would really let me know. But this is just morally just like just a piece to give out there is that they all have cleaning every once a week, depending on what day. I think everybody gets a different day. And you have to clear out your bathroom so that they actually clean. Obviously, you vacuum and you clean the living room and the kitchen yourself. For cleaning supplies, they have dish soap and I believe that was about it. I don't rem Yes, yes, yes. And then also your pots and your pans are under your oven. I didn't know that, and I had to ask around, and I was looking for them everywhere, and I thought maybe I had to go buy them, and I was like, I'm not spending money. That stuff can be expensive. And some people did buy their own things because sometimes the utensils were not like if you're someone that really likes to cook, sometimes the utensils are not the best, but you kind of had to manage with it. Or even borrowing multiple utensils. I had a housemate who really liked to bake and liked to make sweet treats, and we were constantly borrowing different dishes from our neighbors. So going back on that, this is like maybe a piece of professional advice and a piece of like how to live in Washington, D.C. advice from the both of you. And I think I would start with you, Jocelyn.
Wait, I'm sorry. Can you restate the last part, please?
Yeah, so a piece of professional advice and then some advice about how to live in Washington, D.C.
Okay. I would say my first piece of advice, but professional wise, just to be to kind of sit with yourself for a second. Think about what you've done, what you have, and what you will continue to do, especially, and a 5-minute elevator pitch never hurts to have in the back of your pocket, and be able to like practice that and feel comfortable in it. And then when you meet new people, especially people who come from a lot of different like backgrounds or work experience, you can kind of, how do I say this? You can kind of like move it around to make it fit better, especially if you're looking to get a job there in the future. And then my second piece of advice would just to be also to give yourself a second, I think it took me a while to even realize or like let it sit in that I was like in DC. I think it only hit in like a week later because I was just so focused on like, okay, I have my classes, I have my internship. Okay, when do I complete that? Okay, when do I do this? I have all like my calendars booked, but I looked around and I was like, okay. Well, I'm like, let's sit down for a second. Let's appreciate like these 3 months that you have, and don't let those 3 months be just filled with work and school.
And did you have some advice about how to live in Washington, D.C. and how to navigate it or something?
Mm, The metros are the most consistent, but the buses will probably take you a little bit quicker. I'm like, that's the biggest one. But I was an avid metro user rather than the bus.
And Allison?
Advice. I would say same thing with the metros. I don't know. I really like the metros. My dream is to have like a metro in California at this point. Um, I think that like take the opportunity. So this is supposed to like stimulate a real working environment. It's like we have two different programs. One is UCDC, which is in the one we're talking about, and the other is UC Sacramento. So Sacramento, we give you an internship. You already have an internship within the government, whereas DC, you have to find your own, which means for, people who are not into government or policy, this is a really great opportunity to find an internship that matches your career goals. I know we have a business major in here, so like you would not be as interested in, government policy as you would me working at maybe a corporate internship or maybe working at a business firm. So the goal, I think, is try to figure out what you want to do in your adult life after you graduate. This is kind of the vision. Every day you're working a 9 to 5, you're getting academic credit for it, but really we're trying to stimulate what it's going to be like after you graduate. So once you start like getting settled, think further. Don't think about like, this is going to end in 3 months. Think about how you're going to like either build or manifest or reproduce this opportunity, you know, when you graduate. So if I want to work at an educational law firm, if I want to work at any law firm, what are the steps I have to do that? I talk to current law students, I talk to law clerks, I talk to paralegals, attorneys, and I figured out what they did and I am planning, my own route to like get where I want to be. And it's the same for Itzel. It's the same for Jocelyn. It's the same for all of you guys. Whether you do this program or not, like figure out before you graduate what you're going to do after you graduate. And this is the best opportunity because you're getting academic credit for 3 months to figure that out. That's like the main goal of the program. So yeah.
I think I completely agree with Allison that it is something to keep in mind, especially with the UCDC program. I think what the UCDC program does that really helps me out, like more personally, is that it really helped me kind of know what to look for and know what to ask for. Like I said before, I'm a transfer student. I didn't get too much experience at my college with internships like this. I didn't really know how to ask or how to engage in different opportunities. And UCDC stood out to me because it was going somewhere new. It was putting myself in a professional environment for the first time. And I believe that I couldn't really get any experience like that anywhere else. From my experience, I learned what I wanted to do, I learned what I liked, and I learned how to apply it back here in Riverside because um while you can continue to get jobs in Washington, D.C., it's not on top of that, you also gain new skills that you can write about in your resume or you can show off to workers, talk about your experience in Washington, D.C., and they can make you really stand out because they know that you already worked in a professional setting like that. And they know that you have the mindset that you kind of, it's like almost like a 9 to 5. Um, and on top of that, you are getting full credit for it as a university student, and there's not really a lot of opportunities like that. And I also wanted to talk about maybe something that we wanted to know before we left and going to UCDC. Um, I think something that I wish I knew before going to UCDC is um maybe knowing how, like, as I said before, I planned a lot for the things that I wanted to see, but I think it's also I wish I knew that exactly how much there was. I think there were a lot of things that I feel that I could have taken more time on at in exploring or even professionally if there were more because it's definitely talking to mentors, to supervisors, to people with like in charge of your internship and asking them like what is something that you could do like around the city that applies to your major. I took the opportunity to talk to someone who worked on the Latino exhibit in the Smithsonian, but I also would have liked to know how to explore different museums, maybe outside of history or the Natural History Museum, or maybe different. There was a spy museum in Washington, D.C., and it would have been really cool to explore that as well. So I wanted to know what were some things that you guys wanted to like maybe what you wish you knew before going to your to UC to Washington, D.C. Jocelyn, I'll start with you first, and especially thinking maybe about like I want to like to know more about how your experience was in the winter quarter and maybe what were some of the things around at the time.
One thing I would say if you are thinking of going into the winter quarter, fleece leggings and a thermal shirt. Those will be your best friends during the whole time. I didn't have one for like the first 2 weeks and I felt it. So I would say thermal. Thermal, learn how to layer. That'll be your best friend and gloves. But other than that, I would say one of the things is that, especially during the first days of snow, the roads are empty. I'm like, DC shuts down like the first day whenever it snows super heavy. But yeah, good winter shoes. Winter shoes will help you out a lot in those times. And no, for weather wise, yeah, I'm like dress for the weather. I'm like it's weather you haven't experienced yet, at least in California.
And Allison?
Yeah, the weather is also weird in spring. It could be like raining in the morning and then like 50, I don't know, so like 100 degrees like in the afternoon. So always have a mini umbrella. I don't know. Professionally, I wish I built a LinkedIn, like flushed it out a little sooner because I made one for the sake of having one to put on my resume, but it's not very good, and I don't have a profile picture or a banner. But like I feel kind of awkward because I want to flush it out now, and I really want to capitalize on all the stuff I did in DC. And I don't want to spam post a bunch of things. So I would say definitely work on LinkedIn. It can be blank going in, fill it up when you're there. You're meeting so many people there. Like the easiest thing to do is ask for a LinkedIn connection, try to build those, 500 plus connections. But that would definitely be a bummer that I got that I wish I knew.
I think I agree with you with having the LinkedIn beforehand. I did have a LinkedIn beforehand, and I already had some things on my LinkedIn, but being in DC, it kind of slips my mind because I think you going to DC, I actually realized how much people actually use LinkedIn. It is a little crazy. And I think it's definitely keep that like maybe in like your back pocket, post about your experiences so that you're not having to post them all at once later on because people kind of see that. And it's like something that I kind of want to avoid. Um, but even now, as you're like experiencing UCR and think about the things that you're doing, like maybe projects you're working on, special presentations you're doing, or organizations that you're in post those already, and that would also really help you out with helping build out a resume before you go to UCDC, which kind of brings me to my last question, which is that if you what would be some piece of advice you would give to a UCR student applying for the UCDC program? And for me, it would be very much working on your resume. What I get as an I am an advisor for the program and I help a lot of students with resumes and cover letters. The UCDC application, what it needs from you is an official transcript, a cover letter, and a resume. And this is more to look for us to look like how can we work with you and bring you to like the very best and prepare you for UCDC. I think what I've seen is that a lot of people say that they don't have anything to put on your resume, which I feel is not true. I think you should think about volunteering opportunities, special projects that you've done in your class, maybe assignments that you've gotten a really good grade on. As long as you know how to talk about it on your resume, you have a resume. And as for your cover letter, it's not much of like, I did this and I did that. It's like, how can you how can you benefit from us and how can we benefit from you? Like, what makes you the perfect candidate and what tells us that you're the perfect candidate? Um, as I've seen from different resumes, is that they either go on and on and on, or they're just not enough. Sorry, resumes are usually one page, cover letters are usually one page. Cover letters, I always ask that you look for who is the head of the hiring team that's kind of looking on LinkedIn and kind of figuring that out before you just put like dear hiring team. Look for the addresses, look for templates, look for different ideas on how to build instead of just going in it like with nothing prepared. It's always being prepared and always kind of doing your research ahead of time so that you can be the perfect candidate for UCDC. So at least I'm gonna go with Allison and then Jocelyn for this one because Allison, you're also on the same team as I am and you worked with students before. What do you think is some advice that you would give to UCR students applying for UCDC?
I would look for internships first. I think that the general requirements is, while the program is like kind of competitive, the requirements are kind of set. So if you have like a good GPA, if you have, at least two upper division classes under your belt, what's the other requirement? I don't remember. Oh, if you're junior standing, those are the requirements to at least apply to the program. The application materials, the resume, the cover letter, the unofficial transcripts, yes. You need to make those regardless if you're going to do this program because you need to apply for jobs. The jobs part is kind of something that people are running into. You can only apply to so many jobs that you see available to you because they only open in windows. So let's say there's like a really, really good internship you want next fall. What are we in right now? Spring. So that's like in 6 months, something like that. If you want it, it's probably open right now, but it won't be open by the time you're available. So that was a bad allegory. But like by the time you get accepted to the program, you have about 6 months to like look for internships, I'm pretty sure. Maybe even less, maybe 4. I kind of wish I had more time to look for internships. I wish that I knew going into the program that I was gonna like get accepted so that I could have looked during summer or that I could have looked, I don't know, like whenever I had free time. Instead, there's like this intense cram to just like apply to 10 internships a week for 10 weeks, including during finals and midterm season. And I'm just like, I don't know if I could do this. So I would just say like manifest it because the chances of you getting in are pretty high if you're willing to put the experience in. We're competitive in the sense that we're trying to find people who are willing to work with us. So it's not the fact that like we're weeding people out or we're like, throwing away resumes or cover letters. We're just trying to see how much we can support you based on how much you will help like accept our feedback. So if you're willing to do that, then you're probably gonna get in. So I would just look for internships early on.
And Jocelyn, what would be some advice that you would give to UCR students that are applying for the Capital Internships program?
Um, the first thing I would tell them is to learn their why. Why do you want to go here? And what are you like? Why does this internship interest you? And then also to be open to different internships because I know that some people are really hoping for an internship, but you're also with 10 other campuses that also want those internships, you know? So learn, be able to adapt, and then make the most out of your internship, no matter what it is. You know, it's the people that make it mostly, I would say. But just learn your why and then also be open to the experiences that you get.
Thank you, Jocelyn. So I think those are all the questions I have for now. I would like to open the chat to anyone if you guys wanted to use your mics or maybe just put a question in the chat and I can read them out loud if you guys had any questions for us. Um, while we get maybe some questions in, I kind of wanted to summarize our last point that our advice to anyone who wants to apply to the UCDC program is take a look at cover letters, at resumes, prepare for those because those would be the most important part of your applications and what we're looking at and how we're seeing how we can work with you and help you prepare for Washington, D.C. Allison was talking about how, um, oh, I just forgot. It slipped my mind. Um, what was it, Allison?
Find internships early.
Yes, there you go. Find internships early. And I wanted to bring up a point with that because I understand that everyone is a different major. We open this program for different majors. But a lot of people go in thinking like, well, what are you talking about? Well, for one, I'm a history major, and even though that could correlate a lot with public policy, Allison is an English major as well. You can find internships that correlate with your major. It's just doing the research. If you're within, if you want to go into like healthcare, you can work with different healthcare public policy firms, or even at, I believe there was a hospital nearby. You can work. I worked with a tech policy organization, a nonprofit, which doesn't really correlate with my major, but I made the most of it by asking, how can you network? How can you connect me with someone who is in my field? And then Jocelyn was just no asking about like what was your why? What do you want to gain from this? Why do you want this internship? Why do you want to go to UCDC? How does it help you? What is interesting to you about it? And I think that would really help out kind of with everything, with knowing what internships to look for, with having that motivation to apply to internships and as many internships as you can early, and also having a basis on what to write your resume and your cover letters on. Um, that is some advice that we were giving to you guys. But if there was anything that we didn't touch upon, or if you guys have any questions at all about anything else, please let us know in the chat. I can give it a minute. And yeah.
Best restaurant. Go.
Best restaurant?
Yeah, girl.
Oh, I think it was called Sacrificial Lamb. It's that Indian restaurant I always got takeout from. It was really good, and it's like I've never really had like a lot of other like food besides Mexican food or anything that's in California. It was really good, and I like eating like curry all the time because of it. So Diego is asking what the average cost of the program is. I under it used to be it was like about 8,000, but I know that it varies. So I'll check on that right now and I'll let you know right now. But if there's any other questions too, feel free to ask them.
The average
Or
cost should just be housing and tuition. So
yes.
the tuition that you have on campus would be the same. And then the housing cost is based on like the building itself. So we'll check on that. But Jocelyn, best restaurant.
Gloria's, pupusas, and Columbia Heights.
Wait,
Oh,
where? What?
wait,
In Columbia
what?
Heights? I'm like, y'all weren't at Columbia Heights. But
What?
I was at Columbia Heights. What'd you say?
Columbia Heights, Gloria's, pupusas.
I didn't get a
Oh, that's crazy. When I was over there, I kept
I'm like, let
looking
it be
for
known.
like
girl.
Hispanic food everywhere and I couldn't find anything good.
They're like,
You
we have
know,
in this.
Gloria's is the only one I'll put anything on. Okay,
That
I'm
was the
like,
biggest obstacle, honestly, is everyone's just like, by the way, we do not have good tacos. I'm just like,
I
a
know.
talking tacos is not tacos.
no.
I'm gonna say it. I'm gonna say it.
Okay, was the chili bowl a scam? Because I don't understand what the obsession with that is.
They just had a bunch of pictures on their walls.
With Obama. I love Obama, but like, not much.
Mhm.
Not for
I'm
a
like,
chili
these are
bowl.
conversations y'all can have after. I'm like,
Um,
Okay, so let's see. To answer Diego's question though, what I'm getting here is that the tuition would be the same as on campus, and then housing costs are usually varying through the different quarters. What I see here is that in the summer, winter, spring, summer, it's about the average looks to be about 3,800. And in the fall, it's 4,100. And that would be with the added cost of what would be on campus. But as I said before, financial aid applies, and we actually offer several scholarships that you can apply for before your departure. So hopefully that answers your question.
3,000 a month? No, just per
No, no,
quarter.
no, per quarter, per quarter.
Do you guys do tate?
I miss Tate.
I love tate.
didn't
That's
get
like,
you guys
okay,
any little sandwiches.
best coffee chat spot is tate. It's
Mhm.
loud as hell, but like, it's the best one.
And it's also really, it's so pretty. And they have this
Yeah.
salmon sandwich thing that I really liked,
Mhm.
and it was so good. I had a lot of my coffee chats with my mentor there, and she would buy me. This was kind of like something else that I really liked about the DC program is that, at least for me, my supervisor and my mentor would be like, let's go get coffee and pay for my coffee. It was really good.
Gregory's
It's the
Coffee?
same. I'm
Oh
pretty
my
sure the
God, we're
Sacramento
there?
program is the same. Huh?
Gregory's Coffee?
Gregory. Oh, I wasn't into it.
Really?
I wasn't
Okay,
into
but I was getting like little drinks instead of coffee.
it.
I'm like, mm,
The Sacramento program, I'm pretty sure is like pretty similar in price. You can check on the website though. The Sacramento program is like kind of odd. The reason we don't promote it too much is because it's run by UC Davis, and every time we're just working with them, it's just we kind of make you a transfer student for Davis, so we just don't have a lot of info on it. Financial aid does apply for that as well. It's like kind of the same thing, but costs are pretty much the same because you have to pay for tuition and housing in Sacramento. And in Sacramento, if you have family in Sacramento, you have to live in the building. So yeah.
What I'm getting from the website, though, at least the 2025-2026 budget for tuition was $5,783. That would be tuition. As
Mm.
for housing, hmm, it says housing and living expenses, at least for the summer, is 4,600.
Mhm.
Okay.
Best
Did
museum.
any
Oh,
sorry, I was just gonna say if there were any other questions or anything else that we missed that you guys wanted to learn more about for the UCDC program.
thank you.
Thank you, Jasmine.
mm,
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Okay. Best museum.
I really like the Natural History Museum a
air and
lot.
space.
Oh, yep.
This is
Never mind. Air
good.
and Space. I struggled so much to go to the Air and Space Museum, but it was so worth it because they have so many things. You can go into the planes and see everything. And also they had a Star Wars, I think an X-Wing. They had a Star Wars X-Wing there and it was really crazy. I loved it. It was really good. I also like the Natural History Museum because I love elephants. They're my favorite animal, and I got to see
Oh,
one like up close. Like that is crazy. And they have everything everywhere and every section, how it's made is amazing. And I loved it. And I'm like, I love museums. So I think it was like almost perfect in every way.
Were y'all going down to the pier or no?
I went like twice.
Okay, okay.
I went during like they had movies every week or something.
hmm I
Thank
was like,
you.
I would be there. I'd like Leo. I'm like, I don't
Sorry,
know.
we're
I would
just
just
like
go
chatting
like
now.
random times. I'm like, yeah, I'm sorry.
The
Oh,
pier. Oh,
Oh,
okay, friends.
I'm
okay.
like,
Thank you
okay.
guys. All
Thank you.
right, I'm gonna stop the recording, but thank you guys for
Thank
coming
you.
to the panel. I'm th really grateful that you guys made time today for the panel, and I'm very glad that everything went out smoothly. And yeah,
It was really
Mhm.
nice meeting you guys.
It was so cute, guys.
it was nice meeting you too.